Welcome to In Good Fitness. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Anthony. I am someone who went from skinny to fit, and these videos are just purely educational. So this way, you guys can go ahead and learn what you're learning inside of these videos, implement them, and most importantly, be consistent with each item that I speak about. For today's video topic, we're going to be talking about the things I wish I knew about fitness before starting. So if you are a gym beginner, or if you're even just a lifter who's a few months or maybe a year to 2 years inside your own lifting journey, I will highly encourage you to watch this video all the way through because I truly believe you can still learn a thing or two. So that way you can improve your training, your eating, and your rest and recovery. So let's get right into things for today. So that way we don't waste a lot of time here. But the very first thing that I wish I knew is knowing that results don't come quick. Because when it comes to starting your fitness journey, it is by far an amazing experience. It will benefit you tremendously, both mentally, physically, emotionally. I guess three things, not just two things. Um, but you're not going to see those results come very quick, overnight, or anything like that, right? While yes, you can see results as short as 3 to 4 months, you're not going to achieve that dream physique that you're looking for in a few months' time, right? You have to be patient. You have to be consistent when it comes to your training, your eating, your recovery. If you want to see, your dream physique, quote unquote, right? And that's going to take years on end of being consistent with those three pillars of fitness that I just mentioned: eating, rest and recovery, and training. So that's kind of like realistically what it's going to look like for you or what it's going to take for you, right? And if I had to add one more point before I kind of carry on for within the last two bullet points in this slide, is that our perception of what is achievable naturally has been severely skewed through because of social media, because of what fitness coaches, fitness influencers, PTs, bodybuilders post online. And some of those individuals are enhanced athletes. And some of them are honest about them, which I fucking love. If you're honest about your gear use, all the power to you. Let me give you a big fat kiss on the lips, whatever. But for those that are dishonest about their gear use, excuse me, that's a very scummy thing to do because it discourages new lifters who have no idea what's achievable naturally to have this misrepresentation of what they can achieve or what can be seen as really good results or progress inside of a gym. And then those enhanced athletes who lie about their gear use contribute their growth, their immense success physically because of their training programs, because of their meal plans, because of these supplements that they take, yada yada yada. When in fact, that couldn't be further from the case. It's because of their taking gear and they're lying about it. And that leaves new gym beginners to feel discouraged. They get burnt out. They don't see the result that they want to see in this quick, short time frame as this enhanced athlete claim that they can, see results in. And they ultimately just stop their fitness journey and they don't pick it back up. Or maybe they do, who knows, down the road. But regardless, everyone should be honest not only with their gear use, but they should also be honest about, in general, everyone should be honest about what you can realistically expect in terms of results when it comes to fitness and what realistic results look like as well visually. You're not going to look like some kind of Greek god within 3 to 4 months, 6 months, or even a full year of lifting. That's going to take a few years. In terms of how long it's going to take, in terms of years, I don't know, right? For some, it takes 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 12 years. It just depends on your genetics, depends on if you're being consistent, depends on if your training, your eating, nutrition is on point, depends on so many different factors, right? But the most important thing you need to realize and recognize is that as long as you're being consistent with training, eating, nutrition, you will see good results. You will see good results, but that's if you're being consistent and dialed in with those three pillars of fitness for years on end, right? You will see the results that you want to see so long as you're being consistent for a good bit, right? If you want to see great results, just like I have in the slide here, you need to be consistent and patient. Those kind of results don't come quick in terms of, achieving your dream physique. And so this means that you will be tested if you can endure being patient enough to even reach that point. And if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. That's why I added that quote there, because not everyone is going to be training to get healthier, to go from overweight to fit, or from skinny to fit. Because if it were easy, then everyone would be doing it, right? But realistically, that's not the case because it does take a lot of hard work, time, and energy. I'm not saying that you have to work out 7 days out of the week, 3 hours per training session. eat a shit ton of food, all these kind of different things. You don't have to do that, right? Most above all, it's more so being consistent because not everyone can be consistent with something. It takes true discipline to be consistent with something. And so discipline would actually be the better word here. If you are disciplined, then you will be farther ahead than everyone when it comes to, this fitness thing. Second thing I wish I knew when it came to, starting my fitness journey or before starting my fitness journey is you have to meet your protein goals on a day-to-day basis, right? You have to be very consistent with that. So I don't care if you're bulking or cutting or just maintaining your current physique. If you want to grow, keep, maintain the muscle that you have right now, then you must meet your daily protein goals. It is an essential amino acid that you need, especially if you are training. So some of you will say it's too hard to meet your protein goals, but in reality, it is much easier than you think. There are a lot of protein-based foods out there that you can substitute for the regular foods that you eat, like pasta, cereals, milk, even cheese has more protein packed into it. There's certain cheeses that have extra protein packed into it. Yogurt, Greek yogurt. So those kind of foods you can sub it out for more protein-based, higher or protein-based, you know, uh, higher protein base of those same foods, if that makes sense. Apart from that, if you have the budget for it, try to get some protein supplements, protein powder specifically, protein bars, protein chips, those kind of things, because they really will help you reach your protein goals very quickly inside of a day. Apart from that, though, if you really, really, really want to reach your protein goals, because this is something that I've implemented myself very recently, and it's something that I learned from Alex Ramosi that has helped me out a ton is that make it a priority to meet your protein goal first. So forget about carbs and fat. Focus on meeting your protein goals first. As soon as you hit your protein goal for the day, then you can fill up the rest of your calories with whatever other carbs and fats that you want. That is not an excuse for you, though, to pig out on shit food and anything like that. Like you still want to get your veggies in and 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 get in really good sources of carbs and fats in. But you can have like a little bit more leniency though. Like if your calories allow for it, you can have that slice or two of pizza, right? You can have that chocolate bar, whatever, right? But it's not to say that you should pig out on all those foods or pig out on junk food to meet the rest of your caloric goals for that day just because you met your protein goals, right? Fantastic that you met your protein goals, but you also want to make sure that you're not filling it up with shit food because if you do that, then you're just going to feel like shit yourself. So that's something that's helped me out tremendously. Um, just making it a priority to meet my protein goal first inside of the day. So that way I can stress less about it, I can worry less about it, and I can just go ahead and, fill up the rest of my calories with whatever other carbs and fat that I want, right? Ideally, you want to eat anywhere between zero point 0.7 grams to 1 gram worth of protein per pound of body weight that you weigh. Now, there's been studies that say you should actually eat zero point 0.5 grams to zero point 0.0 grams worth of protein per pound of body weight that you weigh because 1 gram and above is just a waste of protein. You're going to just piss it out and it doesn't really contribute to extra muscle growth or anything like that. Um, in my opinion, I'd rather overeat in protein than undereat. So that's kind of like my own mindset in a sense. Like I'm too scared to undereat in protein. So I'd just rather overeat. And if I overeat in it, perfectly fine with me. That's why I choose to eat 1 gram 1 gram worth of protein per pound of body weight that I weigh, just to be on the safer side, right? There's people that get great results by just eating zero point 0.7 grams or zero point 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight that they weigh. So it's up to you, right? It's up to your pick. But the studies show that you can eat anywhere between zero point 0.5 grams to zero point 0.7 grams, and you'll be good to maximize muscle growth. I recommend eating zero point 0.7 grams to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Gram, Cannot speak today. That's a mouthful. Try saying that 7 times fast or 10 times fast. 0 0.7 grams to 1 gram worth of protein per pound of body weight that you weigh. So I just set this range just because I'd rather overeat in protein than undereat in protein. But yeah, try saying that 10 times fast. It's pretty hard. All right, next slide. Something else that I wish I knew is that you will gain fat when you bulk. When you enter a bulking phase, it is 100% guaranteed that you'll gain fat. Now, there are no guarantees in life other than taxes and death, but if I were to add one more guarantee, if you are a lifter, this would be the third guarantee in life. It is that you will gain fat when you bulk. Now, depending on how much fat you gain, whether you do a lean or dirty bulk, just predicates from that, right? What type of bulk that you choose to do, or what avenue you decide to go towards when it comes to a bulk. Regardless of that, don't go and start a cutting phase so early on, right, into your bulking phase, just because you start to see a little bit of fat gain in the tummy area or in the belly area, right? Like, no, don't be scared of the fat. If anything, if you are a skinny individual, the fat will look good on you. It'll add to your physique, right? Again, if you choose a dirty bulk, then yeah, no shit, you're gonna gain a lot more fat compared to someone who does a lean bulk. So if you are looking to minimize fat gain, I recommend doing a lean bulk. But if you don't care about the fat gain or anything like that, I would still recommend you do a lean bulk just because it does save you a lot of time and energy. Because doing a dirty bulk is just very exhausting and you're gonna feel like shit as well. That's why I always don't recommend it. That's why I always lean towards the lean bulk side of things. So don't quit your bulk too early on just because you see a little bit of fat gain. If anything, that means you're doing the right things. So keep going in that direction. And if you want to make good progress, then you must be consistent with a full bulking phase, which can last anywhere between 3 months on the lower end to a full year on the higher end. So it just really depends. And for those that want to go longer than a year, by all means, go ahead. If you can take it physically and mentally, go ahead, do it. There's nothing stopping you from doing so. All the power to you. But of course, you're not gonna sustain a full year long or even 2 year long bulk. In between those times, you will need to take a break, or you will need to, or you will need to implement some sort of mini cut, so that way you can, sustain the bulk that you're doing, and it gives your body a really good hard reset, so that way you can start gaining weight again, because you will plateau multiple times during your bulking phase. There's nothing stopping that, right? You will plateau multiple times, and that's when you will need to add more calories to what you're already eating. So I hope that slide provides some insights in terms of fat gain when it comes to a bulk, because it's just something that I wish I knew, because I was a little bit scared when it came to gaining fat on my bulk. Now I'm pretty fat, which is why I am cutting slightly, nothing crazy, right? I don't want to be too shredded. I just want to lean down a little bit so that way I can look good, feel good, and just ultimately actually run a full 3 miles without heaving and puffing and wheezing. All right, next slide. Something else that I wish I knew. Training hard until failure. This is super important because training hard and training till failure is quite literally the number one contributor to the gains that I have made up until this point inside my lifting journey. While also having dialed in eating and recovery, of course. You can't forget about those other two pillars of fitness. When you push your body to its limits and beyond, it's so important that you do that because it does cause muscle growth, right? And you're getting the most out of each exercise movement that you do. Do you ever wonder why, when you train till failure, you feel the most sore, you get the most wicked pump ever? It's because you're literally taking that muscle that you're training and you're pushing it beyond its limits, beyond what it's used to. So it has nothing, no other choice than to grow. It's forced to grow. It's forced to adapt. It's forced to adapt to that challenge so that way you can progressively overload the next week or the following week, because you're not going to progressively overload and weight every single fucking week, right? It's not realistic. There's going to be weeks where you can't do the certain set rep scheme for that given weight because you're just, maybe you're a little bit tired, maybe you didn't get enough rest last night, whatever it is. So many different factors come into play when it comes to that. But all that to say is that training till failure, pushing yourself, exerting yourself in general, will lead to far more growth than you've ever seen, opposed to or compared to just swinging the weights around, not really giving a care what you do, right? Not being intentional with each rep that you do, that sort of stuff. So going to the gym with a purpose will far outweigh just going to the gym by, just going through the motions and saying that you worked out, quote unquote. Training till failure also doesn't allow for you to ego lift, which is very important because you do not want to ego lift. You actually want to pick a moderately heavy weight, perform that weight with good technique, good form, and train till failure in that way because you want to make sure that the given muscle group that you are training is actually being worked, which is covered in this next slide, which is something else that I wish I knew. And that is the fact that form is far more important than weight. Because many people think that adding on a bunch of weight is what you need to see great results or good results or just results in general inside of the gym. But that is far from the truth. When you pack on a shitload of weight that you can't even do, then your body is forced to utilize other muscle groups to help get the weight up. And then all of a sudden, a bicep curl turns less into working the bicep and more into you practicing your dancing routine because you have to swing the weight up to get it up. And that shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't be fucking practicing your dance routine. Save that for the dance floor, right? Or save that for your dance class, whatever. If you want to work the muscle group that you're isolating, that you want to work within that given exercise, lower the weight. Lower the weight. There's no need to ego lift. You don't want to incorporate also other muscle groups other than the muscle group that you should be working out in that given exercise. When you prioritize form, you're able to minimize the risk of you getting injured. You actually work the target muscle, which is the most important thing for hypertrophy and for muscle growth, right? And the pump is next level. It fucking truly is. Like, it's crazy. The pump is amazing when you're training that way. Last piece of advice that I would recommend, and last piece of advice that I wish I knew in the very beginning, is utilizing the 3-1 explode counting scheme. So let me explain this by giving an exercise example. Let's take a leg extension in this given case. What the number 3 stands for in this counting scheme is 3 seconds. So during a leg extension, when we are going down on the leg extension, so the eccentric, the negative part of the movement, when we go down, we want to count 3 seconds as we go down, because when we count for 3 seconds, that means we are controlling the exercise movement. And when we control the negative part of any exercise movement, it is the most hypertrophic part of any given exercise movement. So it's very growth promoting. Are you going to look like CBum by doing this? No, absolutely not. Right? CBum uses gear, and pretty sure he's honest about it. And if you couldn't tell, he's on gear, right? And if you definitely can't tell that he's on gear, then you need a reality check, my friend. But when we have to control the way down of the movement because it is very growth promoting. So we control it for 3 seconds. 3 to 4 seconds is a sweet spot. Anything more is just a waste of time. Because further research shows that anything more than 3 to 4 seconds does not lead to further gains or anything like that. So 3 to 4 seconds is a sweet spot. I just say 3 seconds just to keep things very simplistic for you guys and for myself most importantly. So 3 seconds on controlling the part down of the movement. What the number 1 represents in this count scheme is 1 second, and that means when we're fully all the way down, when we're at the stretch position of the movement, so leg extensions is all the way down when our quads are stretched at the bottom, we hold that for 1 second because that is also very growth promoting. And then explode, what that part means is that we explode up on the way up of the movement, on the concentric part of the movement, so that way we can get a nice little contraction at the top of the movement, and then we just repeat that entire process over again. Hold it, and then explode again. Next thing that I wish I knew before starting my fitness journey is that more does not equal better. In training specifically, more does not equal better. You're not going to get better results than the next guy by working out 6 times per week, 3 hours per training session, right? What matters most is quality over quantity. So if one guy trains 4 times per week, trains for 1 hour in each training session, trains till failure for 2 sets on all exercises, is using the 3-1 explode counting scheme, he will make significantly more progress compared to the guy who is training 6 times per week for 2 to 3 hours per training session, ego lifts, and does 4 sets on every exercise. I don't make up the rules. That's what the science says, and that is very true. Because when you work out 6 to 7 times per week, 2 to 3 hours per training session, you risk overtraining. And this is something that I think I cover in the next slide, but you don't want to overtrain. You want to keep things very efficient and meticulous. You want to be intentional and purposeful with each rep that you do. So when you train in that way, when you implement the 3-1 explode counting scheme, because that's you being intentional about every rep that you do, you find that you will achieve more by doing less. So instead of doing 4 sets, you'll find that you will have to do only 2 sets because your muscles are so cooked that you can't do anymore. Next slide is that your body needs rest, something else that I wish I knew. So you can't expect to go to the gym 6 times per week or even every single day of the week and make gains. Rest days are just as important as training days. Your body grows during rest days, and this gives your body a chance to recharge its own batteries so that way you can train till failure for the training sessions that you have coming up during the weeks ahead, right? That's so important because you can't be go, 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 go mode all the time. You need to sit back, relax a little bit, recover a little bit so that way you can hit full throttle again, right? This is just like this applies to everything in the world. You cannot expect to work 6 months straight, 10 hours a day, Monday through Sunday, and not expect to get burnt out, right? Or not expect that you need some sort of vacation or downtime, right? Because if you don't take it, you're just going to collapse. You're going to be broken emotionally and physically. It's going to deteriorate you. It's going to fucking just eat you up, right? So the same thing applies here in training. You can't expect to be go, 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 go mode all the time and expect your body to be this pristine machine that constantly runs. Like, no, your body needs rest. You're not a machine. You're not some kind of cyborg robot Terminator, whatever you want to call it. You're a human being that needs rest and recovery. And the most growth happens during your rest days. So take advantage of those rest days. Don't take them for granted. If anything, soak it up. Soak up those rest days. Rest, do whatever. Do whatever makes you happy. Go on walks, whatever. But just make it a priority to rest. If you don't incorporate rest days, you will risk overtraining, which will put you at risk, excuse me, for becoming injured, and you'll then be burnt out and have to take a longer break from the gym, right? So what turns out to be a 2 days off from the gym because those 2 days are your rest day, then turns into 3 to 6 months up to a year being off of the gym. And then most importantly here is to be consistent. So the last slide here is to be consistent, something that I wish I knew because there were times where I was not consistent with my own fitness journey in the very beginning. If you want to maximize results, then be consistent with your eating, training, and recovery. You cannot expect to see good results just by training here and there and half-assing your sleep and eating, right? It's just like with anything in life. If you want to see progress, then you have to be consistent even on those days where you don't feel like doing set activity, set thing. Consistency is by far the most important thing that you need to do to achieve whatever result that you want to achieve, right? So if you're just consistent with one out of the 3 pillars of fitness, you're not going to see the best results that you could see if you were being consistent with all 3 pillars of fitness. So make it a priority to be consistent with all 3 pillars of fitness. It is a lot easier than you think it is, right? Obviously, it can be hard at times because of lack of discipline or just because you don't feel like it, right? Or because you have a bad day and your mind's all over the place and you just don't feel like getting in your meals or training that day, whatever it is, right? 1 to 2 bad days is okay, but when it gets to be weeks on end or months on end when you don't go to the gym or you're being inconsistent with your eating or your recovery, that's where it becomes a problem. So you want to make it a priority to be consistent with all 3 pillars of fitness. Don't half-ass anything. Give it your all. Make sure to remember why you're on the fitness journey that you're on. And most importantly, if you feel like you need that support, reach out for that support. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell me. My DMs are always open. Comment it down below. I'll be happy to check in with you. I don't care, right? Do whatever helps you be consistent and disciplined inside your fitness journey, and I guarantee you will see the results that you want to see. That covers it for the video for today, though, guys. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you are someone interested in one-to-one coaching, the link for that will be down below in the description. Feel free to check that out. But until the next one, though, guys, take care. Much love to you all, and peace.